15 seconds. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition, engines full power, and lift off of Intelsat 40E. Go Intelsat, go Falcon.
Vehicle is reaching downrange.
M1D chamber pressure nominal.
Miko. Stage separation confirmed. And back ignition.
So there you heard and definitely saw those great views on your screen. 3 events happening back to back: main engine cutoff, stage separation, and SES-1. Coming up next will be fairing separation in just a couple of seconds. During this portion of the flight, we'll jettison both fairing halves and then attempt to retrieve them again today.
Both vehicles are following nominal trajectories. Fairing separation confirmed.
Here we've got confirmation of fairing separation, which means both fairing halves are on their way back to Earth to be recovered by our recovery vessel, Doug. Coming up next, there are 2 burns for our first stage as we prepare for landing on our drone ship, a shortfall of gravitas.
Stage 1, entry burn startup.
Stage 1 FTS is saved.
All right, so there on that left-hand side of your screen, those stage 1 views are back. You can see that entry burn has begun, and it's also illuminating the grid fins, which help to steer the booster for re-entry and also to make a precise landing.
Stage 1, entry burn shut down.
And back shutdown.
All right, there's that call out telling us that we had successful shutdown or cutoff of that.
Stage 1 landing burn.
You can see landing burn has begun there on that screen.
Stage 2 FTS is saved.
You can see those grid fins working hard to steer it back to the drone ship for its landing.
Nominal orbit insertion.
Great call out there indicating we've got
Stage 1 landing leg deploy. Stage 1 landing confirmed.
There you can see on your screen an amazing view as always. That landing marks SpaceX's 184th recovery of an orbital class rocket, including first stage landings for Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. The mission isn't over just yet. We did hear the call out telling us that the second stage achieved good orbit, so it is now embarking on its first coast phase. After this coast phase, we will light that MVAC engine for a second time, and that will happen around the T+26 minute mark. So hang tight, we'll see you back here in about 15 minutes.
Welcome back to the SpaceX webcast. Tonight's Falcon 9 mission is carrying the Intelsat 40e and NASA Smithsonian Tempo payload for our customer Intelsat. We've had a nominal mission so far. Falcon 9 launched on time at 12:30 a.m. Eastern from Space Launch Complex 40 and then successfully landed on our drone ship, a short fall of gravitas. While the second stage completed its first burn, taking our payload into its initial parking orbit. We're just about 5 seconds away from a second ignition of the Merlin vacuum engine, which will carry the second stage and today's payload into the orbit needed to deploy the satellite.
Back ignition.
There's the confirmation we've got for SES-2, second engine start 2. This burn of the MVAC engine is planned to last just about a minute. Right now you can see the MVAC skirt glowing orange as it burns. Excuse me, as the engine burns. While the MVAC and Merlin engines on board the first stage are quite similar, the MVAC is unique in that it's been optimized to perform in the vacuum of space, which gives it its name, Merlin vacuum. Just about 10 seconds to go on this burn before we expect to hear the call out for SECO 2.
MVAC shutdown.
There's the confirmation of MVAC shutdown.
Nominal orbit insertion.
That call out confirms that we're in the correct orbit. So right now, the payload is still attached to Falcon 9's second stage, with deployment scheduled in just about 4 minutes. While we wait, sit back and enjoy the views.
If you're just joining us, welcome to the webcast for the IS-40e and Tempo mission. We've had a nominal mission so far with an on-time liftoff at 12:30 a.m. Eastern Time, followed by successful ascent, stage separation, and 2 second stage engine burns. We're now coming up on the final mission milestone of the day, and that's payload deployment, of course. And that payload, as you see there on your screen, will be deploying from our second stage. As a reminder, our customer for today's mission is Intelsat, and their IS-40e payload is a geosynchronous communication satellite that also features a NASA payload, TEMPO, or Tropospheric Emissions Monitoring Pollution. The payload will be operated by Intelsat, but TEMPO is a partnership between NASA and the Smithsonian Institution's Smithsonian Astrophysical Observatory.
Payload separation confirmed.
A beautiful view there, as you can see, and as we heard called out, successful confirmation of the Intelsat 40e and NASA Smithsonian TEMPO payload.
All of us here at SpaceX want to give a big thank you to our customer,
Signal Cabone.
Intelsat, for entrusting us with today's mission. We also want to give a shout out to the Range and Federal Aviation Administration for supporting today's launch. Tonight's flight concludes SpaceX's 222nd overall mission to date and our 23rd launch of 2023. Thanks to all our viewers for tuning in. Hope you enjoy the rest of your morning, and we'll see you again soon.